It's 3:08 in the morning. I'm sitting on the floor of my room, back against the bed, knees pulled to my chest. The lamp in the corner is the only light, and outside the whole world is quiet, like it's holding its breath. I wasn't supposed to be awake right now. I had every intention of sleeping early, of giving myself rest, but something pulled me out of it. Not a sound, not a dream. Something deeper than both, something that felt less like waking up and more like being called. And I know how that sounds. I do. But stay with me, because if you're watching this right now, at whatever hour it is, wherever you are in the world, I don't think that's an accident. I think something in you already knew this message was coming. I think some part of you has been waiting for exactly this. So let me tell you what happened to me tonight. I had been carrying a question for a long time, longer than I'd like to admit. It's the kind of question you don't ask out loud because it feels too heavy, too personal, maybe even too dangerous. It's the kind of question that lives in the quiet spaces of your life, in the gap between falling asleep and actually sleeping, in the middle of watching someone else live the love story you've been praying for, in the silence that follows another holiday dinner where someone across the table asks, still not seeing anyone, and you smile, and you say something easy, and you move on, but the question stays. Why do some people never find love? Not temporary love, not almost love, not the kind that arrives and then quietly disappears like morning fog, but real, lasting, soul-deep love, the kind that holds, the kind that sees you and doesn't turn away, the kind you were made for. I've known people who have prayed for this their entire lives. Good people, faithful people, people who have given so much love to the world around them and still come home to empty rooms. And I've watched them wrestle with the cruelest thought a human heart can carry. Maybe I'm the problem. Maybe there's something about me that makes me unlovable. And tonight, on the floor of my room, at 3 in the morning, I finally asked the question out loud. I didn't shout it. I almost whispered it. The way you ask something when you're terrified of the answer. I said, why? Why do some of your people who love you, people who want to live right, people who are trying, why do some of them go their whole lives without finding the love they're asking you for? And what came next? It wasn't a voice from the ceiling. It wasn't thunder or fire. It was something quieter than that. Something that moved through me the way music moves through a room, not hitting any one place, but filling everything all at once. And what I felt, what I understood in a way I can't fully put into words, broke me open. Not in a violent way, in the way a window breaks when it finally lets in the light. I want to tell you what I received, not because I have all the answers. I don't, but because I believe with everything in me that someone watching this right now needs to hear it. Someone is sitting in their own version of that floor, carrying their own version of that question. And this is for you. The first thing I understood was this: love is not a reward. Read that again. Love is not a reward. It is not something you earn by being good enough, patient enough, faithful enough, thin enough, successful enough, healed enough, or whole enough. The moment we start treating love like something we have to deserve, we have already misunderstood what love is. And I think a lot of us, without realizing it, have built our entire spiritual lives around this misunderstanding. We pray for love the way we pray for a promotion. Like if we just do the right things, say the right words, become the right version of ourselves, then God will finally hand us what we've been asking for. But that's not how love works. And deep down, most of us already know it, because we've seen it, haven't we? We've seen people who seem to have done everything right still end up alone. And we've seen people who seemed entirely unprepared suddenly find something beautiful and lasting, and we don't understand it. And it makes us question everything. But here is what I received tonight. God is not withholding love from you. He is not sitting somewhere with his arms crossed, waiting for you to finally get it right before he releases the blessing. That is not who he is. That is not what love is. And a God who is love cannot be the source of lovelessness. So if he's not withholding it, then what is happening? And this is where it gets tender. This is where it gets hard to hear, because the answer doesn't come from outside of us. It comes from within. There is something that happens to a person who has been hurt, something quiet and almost invisible. It's not dramatic. It doesn't announce itself. But over time, after enough disappointment, after enough almost, and not quite, and I thought this, was it something in us begins to build walls, not because we want to be alone. Exactly the opposite. We build walls because we want love so desperately that the thought of reaching for it and missing again is more than we can bear. And so we protect ourselves. We call it being cautious. We call it having standards. We call it waiting for the right one. And sometimes it is those things, but sometimes if we're truly honest with ourselves, it is fear wearing the costume of wisdom, and fear, understood tonight, is the great thief of love, not romantic fear, not the butterflies in your stomach kind, the deeper fear, the fear that says you are not worth choosing, the fear that says every good thing eventually leaves, the fear that says if someone truly knew you, all of you, not just the curated version, but the real version, the one who cries at 3 a.m. on the floor, they would walk away. That fear does not protect you. It imprisons you. And here is the part that undid me. Completely. I felt in that quiet moment a question being turned back on me, not accusatory, not harsh, the way a good father might ask a question, gently, with full knowledge of the answer, but asking anyway so that you hear yourself say it. The question was this: are you willing to be loved? Not are you looking for love? Not are you ready for love? Are you willing to receive it? Are you willing to stand in the open with no walls, no armor, no carefully constructed version of yourself on? Display and let someone see you fully, completely, without the performance? Because here is the truth that most of us have never sat with long enough. Some people don't find lasting love not because they're unloved, but because they've never let themselves be seen. They've been present in every relationship physically, emotionally, intellectually, but they've kept one door locked, the deepest one, the one that leads to the room where the real self lives, the self that is afraid, the self that is scarred, the self that wants so badly and has been disappointed so many times that it has almost forgotten how to want it all. And love cannot enter a room you won't open. I'm not saying this to place blame. I want you to hear that. This is not about fault. This is not about weakness. The walls we build make complete sense given the pain that built them. Every single one of them made sense at the time. Every single piece of armor we put on was a response to a real wound. We are not foolish. For protecting ourselves, we are human. But there comes a point, and I believe that point is right now for someone watching this, where the protection has cost more than the pain ever did. Because you can protect yourself into a life that is safe and completely empty. You can be so careful that nothing ever hurts you again, and also so guarded that nothing ever truly reaches you again. And that is a tragedy so quiet most people never even name it. They just wake up one day in a life that looks fine from the outside and feel this hollow ache in the center of it that they can't explain. I talked to a man once who had everything the world says should make a person feel full: a career, a home, respect, achievement. And he looked at me with eyes that carried years of something I recognized. And he said, I forgot who I was before I started trying to be enough. And I didn't know what to say to him, because that sentence contained an entire lifetime of the wrong kind of love story. The kind where you love the idea of being chosen so much that you lose the person who was worth choosing. You cannot love from behind a mask, and you cannot receive love through walls. And God, whatever else you believe about him, is always trying to get to the real you. Not the impressive you, not the healed and put together you. The real you, the one breathing right now, the one who opened this video, the one who maybe doesn't want to admit how much this is landing. He is not repelled by your brokenness. He built love knowing brokenness would be part of it. Now let me tell you something else I received tonight, something I wasn't expecting. I asked because I had to ask it, what about the people who do everything right, who open themselves up, who take the risk, who are vulnerable and genuine and real, and still end up alone? What about them? What is the answer for them? And what came back to me was not what I expected. It was a stillness, a deep, almost uncomfortable stillness. And in that stillness, I understood something that is difficult to hold and difficult to say. Not every love story looks the way we've been told it should look, We have been shaped by a cultural story that says love means one person, chosen for you, arriving and staying. And that is a beautiful story, a real story, a story worth hoping for. But it is not the only shape love takes in a life. Some people are conduits of love in ways that look nothing like romance. They pour it out in ways that quietly change entire communities. They become the person that 10 other people can point to and say, that one loved me when no one else did. They carry a love so large it couldn't be contained in one relationship. It had to go everywhere. I'm not saying this to comfort you away from your longing. Your longing is real. It is valid. It is not something to be dismissed or spiritually bypassed. You are allowed to want what you want. You are allowed to grieve what hasn't come yet. You are allowed to sit on the floor at 3 a.m. and ask the hard question. But I am saying that sometimes the story we're in is larger than the chapter we're currently reading. And what looks like absence can sometimes be a different kind of presence, a different assignment, a different grace. And here is what I know with everything in me. A heart that chooses to remain open, even after being broken, even after being disappointed, even after being made to feel like it wasn't enough. That heart is one of the bravest things in existence. And that kind of courage does not go unseen, not by the people around it, and not by the one who designed it. I want to ask you something directly now, and I need you to sit with it, not answer it quickly, but actually sit with it. What would it look like for you to stop performing and start being present? Not in a relationship, in your own life, in your own interior world. What would it look like to take off the version of yourself you've been showing people and let the real one come forward? What would it feel like to stop editing your story before you share it and just tell the truth of it? Because I genuinely believe that the love you're looking for has been trying to find its way to the real you. And it keeps arriving at a door with no one behind it, because the real you is in a back room waiting for it to be safe. And I want to tell you gently and with everything I have that it will never feel completely safe. Love is not safe. It has never been safe. It requires the most terrifying thing a human being can do, which is to be fully known and trust that knowing doesn't end in abandonment. But on the other side of that risk is the only thing that makes this life feel like it was worth showing up for. I think about the people I've known who found love, real love, lasting love, and when I look closely at their stories, there's always a moment, a pivotal, often terrifying moment where they made a decision not to find love, but to stop hiding from it, to put down the armor, to say, here I am, all of it, the beautiful parts and the complicated parts, and I'm done pretending otherwise. And that decision, more than any dating strategy, more than any prayer formula, more than any list of qualities in a future partner, that decision was the turning point. I want that for you. I want that for myself. I want us both to stop treating our wholeness as a prerequisite for love and start understanding it as something that grows. Because of love, because real love doesn't arrive after you've fixed yourself. Real love is one of the primary things that helps you become. You were not designed to be complete before connection. You were designed for connection as part of how you become complete. Let me say something before I close, because it's sitting heavily in me, and I think someone needs to hear it said plainly. If you have spent years feeling like you are somehow outside the reach of love, like there is a glass wall between you and the life you were meant for, like everyone else received an invitation to something you were left out of, I want you to know that feeling is a lie. It is one of the oldest lies, and it has stolen enough of your life already. You are not outside the reach of love. You are loved right now in this moment, imperfectly and incompletely by the people around you, and perfectly and completely by the one who made you. And neither of those truths depends on your performance, your appearance, your history, or your healing. You are not too late. You have not missed the window. The fact that you're still here, still hoping, still asking the question, still opening videos at whatever hour it is in your world right now, that is not desperation. That is faith. That is the part of you that refuses to give up, and that part of you is worth fighting for. So here is what I want to ask of you tonight, not as a viewer, as a person. Make a decision about the wall. You don't have to tear it down all at once. You don't have to fling the door open. But decide tonight that the wall has served its purpose and that you are ready to begin slowly, carefully, courageously letting something in. Talk to someone you trust about the real version of your story, not the edited one, the real one. Take the mask off for 5 minutes with one person who has earned that level of trust. Write the thing you've never written about why you're afraid. Pray the prayer you've been too scared to. Pray because you don't want to be disappointed again. Start somewhere. Start tonight. Start with the next breath. And if you felt something while watching this, if something in here stirred something in you, I want you to do something for me. Type it in the comments. Type I'm ready, or I'm opening the door, or just one letter. Just something that says I was here, I heard this, something in me responded. Because I believe the comments of this video are going to become something. I believe the people who watch this and respond are going to carry something forward into their lives that changes the trajectory. I believe words have weight, and the act of naming something, even in a comment, even anonymously, even at 3 a.m. when you don't fully understand why, is an act of courage. And courage is where every love story worth telling actually begins. If this reached you, share it with one person. Not to grow anything, but because you know someone in your life who is asking the same question you've been asking. You know someone who needs to hear that they are not broken, that they are not outside the reach of love, that the story isn't over. Be the person who sends them this, and come back to this space, because I'm going to keep having these conversations, these real ones, the ones that happen at 3 a.m. on the floor, the ones that don't have easy answers but go after real ones. Subscribe not because the numbers matter, but because this community of people who are willing to sit in the hard questions together is something worth being part of. I'll close with this. Love finds what is looking for it. Love enters what is open to it. Love stays where it is truly known. Stop hiding yourself from the very thing you're praying for. You were made to be loved fully, completely, without condition. And the universe and the one who set it spinning has not forgotten that. Neither should you.